Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll be getting started in just a few moments. In the meantime, please like this comment, like the comment that I just posted in the chat, like the event, share with your friends, comment on it. Please help spread the word and get as many members of our community to this event so we all can share in this news about local and federal grants that we have available. I'll keep checking in a moment. We'll get started in just a few moments. Yeah, Ali, I see you. Can you hear me, Ali?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me? 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me now? One two 1 2.
Brother Ali, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. We are live with the people out in the community. So if you haven't already, go to Facebook, like this event, and we'll get started in just a few moments.
All right, sounds good. I'll go ahead and start sharing it out, letting everybody know.
And those of you who are already tuned in, please share with the community. We want to get as many people to this event as possible. We are live. Hope everyone is doing great today. We got some good information to share with you all, and just have your pen and pencils ready. Take some notes, and be sure to take action as soon as we're done with this event today. Information is only as good as you apply it. So we want to make sure that you are able to take advantage of getting access to these grants, both locally and federally. They are out there. I can tell you, I'm a recipient of some of these, so it's the money is available and it's accessible. We're going to talk to you about how you can take advantage of that. We'll get started in less than a minute. Once again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, like it, comment, share it. Let's get as many people to this event as possible. We got a great presentation for you. Talk about local grants, federal grants. We'll have an introduction from our sponsor, Comerica, talk about the work that they're doing in the community. So this is something that you're definitely gonna want to be in tune with. Brother Ali, how you doing? I see you over there with that nifty hat.
Right. Look, I'm gonna probably be changing hats throughout the day. I'll just let y'all know.
Literally and figuratively, right?
Right. But no, man, I'm doing really good, man. It's a busy time, but it's like a prolific time.
Right.
It's a time to be putting in work and to see the outcome and the impact of that work, man. So I'm just excited to be on the line, letting people know, some of the opportunities that are out there. We got to be about business right now. Know that we can't depend on these jobs, and as the economy continues to go through all these changes, I'm just looking forward to being as much of a resource as we can be.
Right. Well, as far as getting down to business, let's go ahead and do that, right? We got the folks on the line again throughout the day, throughout the presentation. Please share it with on Facebook, YouTube, text your friend, drop them the link, whatever you got to do. Let's get them to the conversation. The comment section is alive and well throughout the presentation. We do have some time set aside for a Q&A. So if you want to be certain or increase the likelihood that your question gets asked, you may want to hold it until the end. But if there's something happening throughout the presentation, feel free, if it's something specific to something that we're talking about, feel free to jump in. I'll be paying attention to it. Ali will be paying attention to the comments as well. And if he's speaking and I catch a question, I'll jump in and kind of get it communicated if it's something important. So feel free to text, comment, and let us know what you're thinking. If there's any questions, we'll do our best to answer those. With that being said, my name is Jerry McPherson. I have the pleasure to serve as the Director of Economic Empowerment for the Greater Phoenix Urban League. Many of you may be familiar with me as my time as being president of the Greater Phoenix Urban League Young Professionals, which I recently rolled off that position and took this full-time position with our affiliate. So today, and even in my time as president, economic empowerment has been one of the topics that has been the forefront of our agenda and our activities for YP. And we've really set plans in motion to develop an economic empowerment series to help some of our small business owners and thriving and aspiring entrepreneurs to be more successful, to develop their resources and develop the ways they can become just more profitable as a whole. So again, topic is economic empowerment. Specifically, today's topic is talking about access to capital and specifically local and federal grants. We know it's clear as a minority-owned business, access to capital has been one of the largest barriers to growing and succeeding as a Black-owned business. So what we're looking to do is take one step towards helping close that gap of access to capital. Now, this isn't going to solve everything overnight, but it's about taking steps to the larger goal. Now, it's as I mentioned, access to capital has been a challenge. That coupled with the onslaught of COVID-19 and what that's meant to businesses, both large and small, is something that it's clear we need to address it and take it head on. And like most issues concerning our country, it seems to impact the minority and particularly the Black communities a little bit harder than some other groups. So we want to make sure that we are being intentional to be aware of this and work towards providing our community members with those resources to overcome some of these challenges. So this series today, along with the ones that's coming up in the future, we have 3 additional series scheduled for the remainder of the summer. They are sponsored by our community partner, Comerica Bank, which has been a vital asset to the growth and development of YP. In addition to Archwood Exchange, Brother Ali and I, we've worked closely over the past 3 or 4 years, as I say, doing different workshops and different programs like Urban Expo and Entrepreneurs Unite. And this is just yet another one of those opportunities to collaborate and share resources. And as I mentioned, Comerica has definitely stepped up and provided the necessary resources and information that is needed by us in order to get it to our community members. And with that being said, I would like to introduce Summer Faussette, who is a member of Comerica Bank. She serves as Assistant Vice President within the Corporate Communications Department and is responsible for external affairs, or she is an external affairs market manager for the Arizona market. With that being said, I would like to bring on Summer. How are you doing, Summer?
I'm good. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
If you can, just take a moment and talk to us a little bit about the efforts that Comerica Bank is engaged in.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for having me. This was definitely an important opportunity. I know prior to COVID, we were doing a lot of things that were in person, and it made sense in person. But ever since the crash and the hectic and chaos, and businesses still need to succeed. They still need to thrive. They still need to grow. And that is where we're kind of focusing. With Comerica Bank, I oversee the bank's financial education, small business literacy, concepts of building wealth, and community involvement programs for the state of Arizona. But this also means regulatory purposes. So when you're coming in here with the federal and grants for Maricopa, I mean, the main part is knowledge. This wasn't brand new. This didn't just get set up because we're going through a recession. This has been ongoing. So knowledge is key. Knowledge is the currency in this day and age right now. It's not that just, you can have it or the other person, there's enough money to go around. It just needs to be understood on how this actually needs to take place. And that's kind of where we step in. We're not going to give any government grants. We're not government. We're a bank. However, we are going to sponsor locations and organizations and community partners just like Urban League to present and give resources on how it's important to build your business. So Jerry spoke about access to capital. That is exactly what we want. We want to make sure that we pump capital into minority-owned businesses, small-owned businesses, youth, entrepreneurship, just to understand exactly what it means to be a business owner. To have a passion is one thing, but to get past that passion and push over to purpose, you have to understand as a business owner, businesses go up, businesses go down. So we need to know how to kind of negate that downfall and kind of stay in a purpose and make money while everything else doesn't seem like it's okay. But there's lending, there's funding, there's grants, there's PPP, there's SBA. There's so many different things that we can attach to, but we just have to know where those locations are, what the answers are, and how to do it properly, and not be afraid to kind of take that step in understanding, getting that information. So I am so excited that we're here to present. This is one of our boot camps. We will, like he said, we will have additional boot camps, and they're going to cover access to capital. They're going to cover resources. They're going to answer questions. We're going to get you in touch with bankers. We're going to get you in touch with CDFIs, micro lenders, information, things to keep you successful so you can continue to run your business and make sure this is something that you want to do and continue to do. So I support you as long as you continue to support yourself. So thank you so much, Jerry, for allowing me to be here. If you do have any questions for me, I'm of course available at the end, but this is definitely about federal grants and local grants. And this is something that Jerry and Ali will certainly be your resources for this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Summer. And again, you've as I mentioned earlier, you will continue to be a partner of YP, Archwood Exchange, and the community as a whole. So we look forward to continuing to work together.
Thank you.
Everyone else, again, keep commenting, keep sharing with your friends and family. We'll be happy to get as many people as part of this conversation as possible. And we'll go ahead and get into our presentation today. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk about, bear with me. Technical difficulties happen sometimes, right? But nonetheless, we'll talk about our the access to capital. I'm going to specifically be talking about the local and federal grants that are available, and we'll have I'll be talking about the federal grants that are available, and then we'll have Ali come on a bit later on to talk about the local and private grants that are available as well. Got it. So here we go. So our agenda, we had our introduction from Summer. As I mentioned, we talk about federal loans and grants by me, and then we'll have Ali talk about the local and private ones, and then we'll have time for Q&A. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time. So the first of which, federal grants. Now, we have the Payroll Protection Program, which many of you are familiar with, that's specific to satisfying the payroll of your company. There's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is a more encompassing loan that will not only that you can not only use to address payroll, but you can use on other aspects of your business. And then finally, debt deferment or relief. We'll talk about that really briefly. It's not necessarily a grant in the traditional way, but it does offer some forgiveness elements that you might be able to take advantage of. So again, the first is Payroll Protection Program. So the Payroll Protection Program, it covers up to 24 weeks of payroll costs, including payroll taxes and such. Now, initially when this came out, it was only supposed to cover 8 weeks. But a lot of businesses gave some pushback that they felt like they weren't able to spend the money efficiently within the first eight weeks. So it's been revised to 24. You can also use this funds to cover interest and mortgage and utilities. So again, not only payroll, but you can also use it for other key elements to running your business. The maximum amount that you can receive is up to 2.5 of your monthly payroll. Now, if you have anyone on your staff that makes in excess of $100,000, anything greater than $100,000 is excluded from the calculations. And as I mentioned, the purpose of this is to keep your employees on the payroll so that you're not having to lay anybody off, so they're not having to use other federal sources like unemployment. It was really an effort to stimulate the economy during COVID-19. Now, I guess the last element that's been a recent change. Initially, you were required to spend up to 75% of those dollars on payroll. That statute has since been revised, where you're only required to spend 60% and 40% can go to other expenses like rent, utilities, and such. So just a summary of where the PPP started and where we are now. It was first launched on April 3rd, and within 13 days, they had ran through $350 billion. And that, was astonishing that money was ran through that quickly, but unfortunately, many of those dollars did not reach the people that it was truly intended to help, which is the small business owners. So our federal government went back and replenished that fund with an additional $310 billion. And that money is still available today. The deadline was initially June 30th. And, as I mentioned, the rate in which the money was being distributed did not come nearly as quickly, or it wasn't expensed nearly as quickly as the first round. So as of June 30th, there was still about $130 billion left in the pot. And I'm sure that number has dwindled some, but I am not concerned that we are in jeopardy of running out of money again. However, you're not going to want to wait to start the application process because that deadline is August 8th. So the PPP, and this is one of the things I really wanted us to talk about is the eligibility. So it's designed for small businesses, nonprofits are eligible, veterans are eligible, but specifically, a lot of us may not be aware that sole proprietors are eligible, self-employed individuals are eligible, independent contractors are eligible. So if you are literally a barber, or you do hair, or you are a freelance artist, you are eligible to get this PPP money. Now it's communicated and issued as a loan, but it's completely forgivable, meaning which translates to being a grant, which translate into it being free money. You don't have to be a corporation. You don't even have to have a registered business in order to qualify. If you are an individual out in the world profiting or doing some activity for profit, you are eligible for the PPP. Now, the maximum amount is $10 million. Many of you, if you are self-employed, that you're not going to come near that limit. The interest rate is 1%. The term is 2 years, and you don't have to make any payment for the first 6 months. Now, again, it's issued as a loan. But as I mentioned earlier, as long as you use the funds specifically for payroll at the percentages that are required, so in this rate, 60% needs to be spent on payroll, then you will be eligible. Now, if you're self-employed, you are your one employee. So in order to meet the qualification, you have to spend at least 25% on rent and utilities. By definition, everything else is your payroll. So they're only going to want to see that you spend 25% on rent and utilities and interest of any extent any existing loans. So again, it's 100% guaranteed by SBA. There is no collateral that you need to pull up, no personal guarantee needed. There's no prepayment penalty, no fees. And in order to get it, you just got to work with a certified lender. And at this rate, there are, I don't know, there are hundreds of thousands of banks that are eligible to issue these funds. Now, they're your big banks like like Comerica, Wells Fargo, Chase. But there are also some online banks that you can access for this money. Now, many of the big banks have required you to already have a relationship with them, but there are PayPal, there's Funderas, there's Lendio, there's Cabbage. Those online banks, those electronic banks are servicing new clients day in and day out. And even One United, one of the Black-owned banks that we're familiar with, is servicing new clients as well. Something to be mindful of. So again, is it a loan or is it a grant? And the answer to that is both. It starts out as a loan, but as long as you adhere to the rules given, then it will be converted into a grant and be completely forgivable. So many of you are wondering, what information are you going to need in order to qualify for this grant? Now, of course, you need your ID to verify that you are a legal citizen of the United States. Being that you are self-employed, you file what is called a Schedule C, and that gets submitted along with your personal tax return. So you have your personal tax return. So if you have a job as well as a side business, your job is reported on your 1040 via your W-2s. Your self-employment, you must self-report that information via a Schedule C. Now, that's all they're gonna want to know to see, to basically verifying your payroll. If you were operating a business and you made a profit, then you are eligible to receive the PPP money. Some other information you'll need, if you are an independent contractor, you may receive a 1099 miscellaneous. If that exists, you need to submit it. Otherwise, your bank statements will suffice to prove that you were active and engaged in the course of business. One thing to be mindful of, I know many of us were self-employed and we were told to start a business for the tax write-offs that come along with it. If you've been operating a business and you haven't reported a profit, you're not going to be eligible for the PPP. Again, if you've been operating a business and you have not reported a profit, you will not be eligible for the PPP. This is designed to replace payroll. If you are self-employed and you have not made a profit, that means you have not paid yourself. And if you have not paid yourself, there's nothing for the federal government to replace. It is absolutely intent on replacing the profits and the payroll that you would have had through the course of business if not for COVID-19. The way they're looking at it, if you weren't making a profit in 2019, they're not going to expect you to make a profit in 2020, and they're not going to help you make that profit. Now, don't fret. There are other resources available. There are the other grants we'll talk about later. They aren't necessarily based on profit. Some of them are based on revenue. So you can, businesses can, pull in $1 million in revenue a year and still not show a profit, right? So if you fit that criteria, then yeah, the PPP won't work. But there are other grants and funding sources that are available that are contingent on your revenue, or more reliant on your revenue, not necessarily the profit that you're making. So if you are a small business, you will be applying for PPP in order to make payroll to your existing employees or rehiring employees that you had to lay off. So again, government ID, organization documents, so your articles of incorporation or your articles of organization. If you have employees, you'll need to submit your W-3, which is a summary of all your employees' W-2, and or your 940, which is your quarterly payroll taxes that you've been submitting for your employees. If you are a company and you have employees, you know all about these documents. One thing to be mindful of, you may be running a business and your employees are actually contractors. You may call them employees, you may give them a schedule, you may take care of them as best you can as you would an employee, but technically they're not. They're contractors. So you cannot file a PPP application in order to get those to get funded in order to continue paying your contractors. In theory, they can file their own PPP application. So the federal government is clear. If it's an employee, it's someone that you're providing them with the W-2 at the end of the year. They're working on an hourly basis. You are withholding payroll taxes. You are submitting those payroll taxes on a quarterly basis. Again, if it's just a contractor that you just give work to and you pay them under the table, you cannot claim PPP money on their behalf. They can in turn file their own PPP application. So if you have if you have contractors, now's your time to tag them and tell them, apply for the PPP, that you can't help them, but they can help themselves in these regards. So some of the lenders that are out there, Square, One United, PayPal, as I mentioned a bit of these earlier, but Cabbage and Lendio, these are online institutions that are accepting new applications right now. And I checked all of these within the last 4 or 5 days. So if none of these work, keep searching. There are plenty out there that are looking to satisfy their clients. And if you have an existing relationship with the bank, you can try them out again. I know the surge has slowed down, so you're more inclined to get, the satisfactory service that you may not have gotten, 2 or 3 months ago. We'll pivot and talk about some other loan programs that are out there. The EIDL is another popular one. It's Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And again, this is a true loan, a more traditional loan, I should say. This is not a grant. It's not forgivable, but there was a forgivable piece that I'll talk about in a moment. So it's a low interest loan for working capital to small businesses. The max loan size was originally communicated at $2 million. A lot of small businesses, a lot of solo entrepreneurs, I believe they might have capped them at $150,000. That is the max that I've seen, in whether it's my clients or other business owners that I'm aware of. And again, it's used to fulfill financial obligations and running your business. It doesn't necessarily have to be used for payroll or rent or utilities. There are other expenses that you can use it on. What is not designed to be used for is growing your business or reinvesting in or expansions. And again, you can't use it to refinance any existing debt. Any payments are deferred for 1 year, and it's at an interest rate of 3.75%. Nonprofits, it's even a point lower than that, and it's a 30-year term. So in short, these are great interest rates. If on any given day, if you walked into a bank and requested a business loan and was given these sort of rates, you would jump all over it. Now, again, due to COVID-19, a lot of these requirements that were set forth have been lowered. One other additional element, you're working directly with the SBA to get this loan. Typically, when you get an SBA loan, you have to go with one of the certified lenders. And this one, you're working directly with the SBA. So that should help eliminate any challenges outside of just having a good credit score, having sufficient business activity. This one, in this case, it's purely black and white documentation. Do you qualify for it or not? And again, so I mentioned a bit earlier when we first got started, there is other financial assistance available, and it's the PPP and the SBA has provided some levels of grant assistance for anyone with an existing SBA loan, so that you can have your loans forgiven or payments deferred for up to 12 months. So if you have an existing SBA loan, contact your lender and see what sort of benefits are being given to them in order to help to soften the blow or soften the financial impact that you're facing right now. With that being said, I'm going to bring our speakers back on. Ali, what's up, man? Have you been following the chat? Is there any questions I need to know about?
I didn't catch it. There was one question earlier, and I think we could weigh on it in regards to some of the federal programs. Is what applies to nonprofits, if any of it?
Yeah. So everything that I mentioned
what you mentioned
thus far. Right. Yeah, so everything I mentioned so far applies to nonprofits as well. And more says, is it the 60-40 he just spoke about? What's the formula? So with the PPP, initially you had to spend 75% of it on payroll. They've reduced that threshold to 60%. So you can, in order to get forgiven, you have to spend 60% on payroll and the 40% on the rent, utilities, and mortgage interest, I believe, is the third one you can use it for. If you have any questions regarding this, feel free to jump in now. I'll take a couple of questions. Bertwana, as a sole proprietor, use my income. I'm sorry, that wasn't a question, that was a comment. T-Lam, yes, I can make the PowerPoint available after the presentation today. I would encourage you, since we did not do pre-registration, I would encourage you to drop your email in the chat, or if you don't want to expose your email address to the general public like that, my information will be available at the end of it, and just shoot me an email and I'll be able to provide it. And that goes for anyone else that wants to view the presentation. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, Ali, so I'll go ahead and give you the floor, and we can continue with the presentation, all right?
All right, sounds good. Hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the local programs, grant funding that's available, both locally as well as through some private entities. There were a lot more at the start of the pandemic. Some of them have either exhausted their funds. Obviously, they're not the federal government, right? So they don't have the ability to continually replenish. So some of them have. We have seen grant programs like the Verizon Resiliency Grant Program. It's a collaboration with BISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation. They've had 4 rounds of their fund, their grant fund, and they're actually working on a 5th. So I'll put that in the comments to keep an eye on. That will be coming out later this month, I believe on the 27th. Actually, about a week from now. We're already in late July now. So on the 27th, I believe that's scheduled to be released, the 5th round of the resiliency grant through BISC and Verizon. So make sure you stay tuned to that, so you can get your application in as soon as it becomes available, because a lot of these things, they are first come, first serve. So as long as you meet the qualifications and you get your application in, you stand a good chance of getting the funds, receiving the grant award, as long as they have the funds available. So that's one that has already been made available, and now it's preparing for its 5th round. But some of the local grants that you see here, the city of Phoenix Maricopa resiliency grants, there are 2. There's one which is a small and micro business relief grant that's still available right now in the city of Phoenix only. It's up to $5,000 available to micro businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, and we'll make sure that we get these application links. I'm not sure of the best way to get them out. We'll put them in the comments. But as Jerry mentioned, if you can send your messages with your email if you're interested in receiving these, we'll make sure we get them out to you. I will also work to get on maybe on a landing page, so we just have a repository of all of this information, because it is critical information. But anyway, so going back, we have the City of Phoenix and Maricopa grants up to $10,000 for small local businesses and nonprofits that are receiving some type of economic distress, some type of loss because of COVID-19. And now you will need to show evidence of that. One of the main qualifications for this is the business had to be in existence in January of 2019. So you will have to show the financial impact of that. This is just for the city programs. We talk about some of the other programs, you won't have this same stipulation. But they are intended to help businesses stay afloat, hence resiliency grants, help businesses and nonprofits meet payroll, meet other obligations. And this program still has funds being administered through Arizona Community Foundation. And again, it's up to $10,000. As you can see on the bottom here, azfoundation.org to apply. That is for the Maricopa one is up to $10,000. And that is for all of Maricopa, but it does not include the city of Phoenix, and it does not include the city of Mesa. The other one is the resiliency grant, which is up to $5,000, and that's for the city of Phoenix. Here we go. For up to $5,000, that's for local micro businesses, solo practitioners, entrepreneurs that are experiencing distress. Micro business, as you can see here, micro business owners and startups are eligible even when it's home based. So a lot of our vendors, a lot of our businesses that are solely online, if you don't have a brick and mortar, independent contractors, you still can apply, you still can qualify for these funds. So make sure that you get your that you have your paperwork in order and that you get your application in, because they still have funds available. And as you can see here, the funds for this specific program have to be used by November 1st of this year, which if we're running a business, that's makes perfect sense. That we need to have and use those funds by that time. But just something to keep in mind if you are awarded those funds. Let's see here. So if you're currently operating, again, within the city of Phoenix, you had to be operating within since last year, and had a decline of 25% from March and April of last year to March and April of this year, and be able to show that. These are intended for small and micro businesses, so less than $1 million in total sales, and then the ability to share the financial impact of the grant on the business. And that's just as far as telling the story. Having accurate records is going to be of extreme importance in being awarded this and being able to show the impact. And then again, as Jerry mentioned, you can't have been awarded funds from this resiliency or relief grant program in the past. So that is the Phoenix one. If you're in the city of Phoenix, up to $5,000 grant, funds are still available. And then we already talked about the Maricopa. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that one briefly. Because that was what's next on the Maricopa small business grant. Yep. So up to 10,000 small business relief grant for the entire county. But again, it does not include Phoenix or Mesa, because both of those obviously have their own programs. So this would obviously be everything else: Tempe, Scottsdale, Gilbert, Goodyear, Glendale, you name it, any other city except for Phoenix and Mesa. And these grants are actually larger. They're up to 10,000. But a lot of the other criteria is the same. It's intended to help small businesses and nonprofits that have been impacted. A lot of the qualifications are the same. In this case, it's no more than $3 million gross, as opposed to $1 million, and less than 25 employees as of March. But again, you'll need to show you'll need to have been in existence in January of last year, January 2019, and show the impacted sales from March of 2019 to March and April of 2020. So those are major qualifications. And again, it's the same site to apply, arizonafoundation.org, where you can apply to either of these programs, both if you have businesses that apply to both. So we highly encourage it. Again, both have funds. If you have questions, need assistance, we'll provide our contact information at the end, and are happy to be of assistance in any way that we can. I'm going to talk about a few other programs that are available. Yep, I'm going to talk about a few other quick programs that are available. Again, we mentioned. Let's blow up. Again, we mentioned the Verizon program that will be Enlist partnership grant that will be coming out on the 27th. There are a couple other private grant programs. It's kind of small on my screen. Let me see if I can blow it up. Is it able to be blown up? That screen that you have up? If not, I know that there were some. There we go. It looks like PayPal. So these are these were examples of grants that came out previously at the start of the pandemic to bolster businesses, and a lot of them had an express interest of bolstering and supporting Black-owned businesses. As we continue to monitor the situation, it's highly likely that we will see more grants or refunding of some of these programs, because it doesn't look like there's going to be any dramatic uplift of the economy in the very near future. So the businesses will still need the support. Obviously, the community and the citizens will still need the support. So I expect to see additional grant and funding opportunities made available, just like the LIST program that'll be coming out on the end of this month. So make sure that you're staying focused on that. You keeping your eyes and ears peeled. We'll do our best to share resources as they come available. And we also want to lift up a program called Kiva. I'm also in leadership in our Phoenix Local Organizing Committee. For those that aren't familiar, Phoenix Local Organizing Committee is a grassroots organizing group that's focused on bringing about justice, bringing about Black empowerment and Black economics, and health and agriculture and you name it, in every facet of life. And so we serve as a trustee for a program called KIVA. And what KIVA is zero interest loan funding. It's funded by the community and matched by LISC, the other organization that I had mentioned earlier, and up to $15,000. So if you find that none of these programs meet your needs, or if you need more than what some of these programs offer, we have the ability to go out and crowdfund up to $15,000. Well, actually, we would crowdfund half of it, and then the other half would be matched by LISC, which is a community development financial institution, and that would be a zero interest loan that the borrower would have up to 3 years to repay. So it's a really beautiful program because, again, it's funded by the community, but it's not a donation. It's a contribution and an investment, and a great marketing tool at the same time. And so we're able to get businesses the capital that they need without, going through the normal credit system, having to, meet certain credit criteria. They call them character-based loans. So as long as you're, you have the character, right, you have the reputation in the community of being upstanding, then there's no issue in getting your program funded, and then helping you to get your business either started or help you to grow it and help you to save it. And so you don't have to go out of business, whatever the need is. And then you need to have the time to repay those funds over a 3-year period with zero interest. So it's really a great program. And again, if I could be of assistance, my information will be at the end. We're a trustee for the program, and it's our honor and opportunity to serve in that capacity. So that's just another resource that we like to share with people. These grants are great, but we're not always able to get the grants. The grant funding runs out quickly. But this is a very similar program, being that it's zero interest, and it's pretty flexible, where you don't have to qualify with credit terms. So that's kiva.org if you want to learn more about it, or you can just hit me up.
Thank you so much, Ali. I'm gonna pull this back up so we can see the. There we go. I'm gonna pull that back up so we still see show our contact information. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. Ali, thank you so much for that presentation. So again, those are as far as the grants go. The city of Phoenix has 2 separate grants: one for small businesses, and then one for small businesses up to $10,000, and then one for $5,000 called the resiliency grant for those micro businesses. And it looks like they're still taking an application for both of those. And I know that opened up, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or so. They actually had 2 rounds of it. Actually, the first round ran out, then they replenished it, and then Maricopa recently announced their own form of the grant. So you may have seen that Phoenix and Mesa wasn't eligible. That's because they had their own grants either running or that has run. Do you know if the city of Mesa is running their own grant program?
They did run their own. They were one of the first ones to announce it. I'm assuming the funds have already run out. I'll check and see. But yeah, I haven't heard of anything currently available. Right.
And so yeah, those are 3 grant programs. And as long as you're in the state of Arizona, well, as long as you're in the county of Maricopa, you are eligible, whether it's coming directly from Phoenix or the county itself. So I see there are a couple of questions in the chat. Are private grants available to self-employed individuals? Yes. So being self-employed, you're still considered a business. You are eligible for the grant. You can apply for it. I know personally of self-employed individuals who have gotten funded. So absolutely yes. If you haven't already, take a look at azfoundation.org. They are the administrator of the private grants that we mentioned earlier. Ali, now you started talking about Verizon, but I was shifting with the with the screens and whatnot. I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat a little bit about the Verizon grant that's about to get released once again?
Yeah. So it's a nationwide private grant, similar to PayPal and similar to Keep and some of the other, like obviously corporate grants. But they have it's been one of the, I guess, larger grants that's been provided, and it's gone through a number of phases. So this, if I'm correct, will be the fifth time that they've deployed these funds. And there have been some Phoenix businesses that have been awarded this grant. We have a local LISC presence that's a huge advocate for small business and supporting the community. So I implore everybody to keep an eye out for that one and apply for it when it becomes available.
Yeah, we got another question. This one regarding Kiva, so I'll let you answer this one.
Yep.
Can you use Kiva to purchase real estate?
I would say Kiva is a small business crowdfunding platform. I'll put it that way. So if you're using it solely to purchase real estate, I would say that it wouldn't qualify. If you're using it to start a business or grow an existing business, then there's ways to make that make sense.
Right.
But I would encourage checking out their site, because they definitely have a heavy small business focus, even if it's a startup. But there are real estate crowdfunding platforms. I'm failing to think of the name of some of them, but they might be a better fit if you're looking at just to purchase land.
Right. There was another question that was asked that I wanted to address, so we'll go back to this a bit. And the question was about many of these grants are asking if the person or the business owner is a minority, and there are organizations that provide certification for those businesses. So Ritwana asked if anyone in the chat is certified. I am certified as a minority-owned business, and I happen to serve on the input committee for the local chapter, the Pacific Southwest Minority Supply Development Council. So if you are not familiar with that organization, the website is pswmsdc.org, and they are one of the organizations that verifies the ethnic or minority makeup of a company. So you are certified. So when you apply for some of these grants, also doing business with the federal government or some of these larger corporations, they are intent on doing business with minority-owned businesses. Now they don't know. They don't know if the business is minority-owned or not. Like they rely on other organizations to provide that certification, and the Minority Supply Development Council is one of them. The cost of certification was asked by. So depending on the size of your business will determine how much the certification costs. I know the size of my business, I might have paid $350 for certification, I believe. So yeah, it's a worthwhile investment to get certified as minority-owned business. They have workshops and programs throughout the year to not only connect you with some of the larger corporations in the Valley, like SRP and APS, and teaching you how to do business with those organizations, but they have networking events happening year-round where you can connect with other minority-owned businesses. I know myself, I am managing partner of a CPA firm. So historically, I haven't had a lot of success doing business with those larger companies just because your accountant is not accountant for a company that size are not looking for mom and pop audit or accounting shops. They're looking for some of your big four. Most of the success I have came from working with other minority-owned businesses. So definitely an organization you want to connect with, and getting certification is a worthwhile endeavor, I would say.
Had a question about starting a new business. Would any of these apply? Yep.
So you want to take a stab at this first, or you want me to handle this?
From a local and private grant perspective, none of the ones that we've discussed thus far would apply, just because as you mentioned, many of them have a required start date of prior to January of 2019. Kiva that we mentioned is, applicable, can be used for a new business. It's not a grant, but it is a funding option and a funding source. So
Right.
once again, I would encourage taking a look, and if there's questions or if we can be of assistance, let me know.
Right. Yeah. So, and just to reiterate that, yes, they're looking at January 2019. Now, the PPP didn't have that specific requirement to the T. Like there was exceptions if you were applying for the PPP. But again, the idea is to replace revenue that that you would have lost. So actually, you said grant specific. So forgive me. The grants I've seen has all been January 2019, but if you want to go the PPP route, there are exceptions if you started your business later in the year. You just really have to have been in business by February of 2020. So you could have started your business the day before and still have qualified for that. All right. Any other questions? Questions, comments, concerns, criticism? We're here for it all. So if you haven't already, our contact information is on the screen. If you want to get a copy of the presentation, I would suggest you send either one of us an email, and we'll be sure to get that to you. In addition to that, we have many of our small business owners that have participated in Urban Expo or the monthly Buy Black Marketplace hosted by Archwood Exchange. If you have participated in either of those events within the past 2 years, we likely have your contact information. We are going to send out a survey. We want to learn, we want to know what other topics it is that you want to know about. What other skills are you looking to develop? What information do you need to know to continue growing your business? Let us know that, and we'll be sure to share that, or we'll be sure to incorporate that in our future programming. Expect it to take place about every other Tuesday. We'll communicate a schedule in the coming days. We have an outline for it. We're still tinkering around with the availability of all the parties that we expect to participate, and we'll communicate that shortly. We have another question that came in. Can you provide us with information on the company that helped you certify your business as minority owned? I'm going to type it in the chat. But it's pswmsdc.org. That's Pacific Southwest Minority Supplier Development Council. And actually, now that I think of it, I think the city of Phoenix has a system as well for identifying minority-owned businesses. So that is another one you can explore. And I don't have it offhand, but if you do email me, I'll be sure to follow that up with you. Any other questions, concerns? We got a few minutes before we close out, and if we still have someone with us, I'll have her share some closing thoughts if she would like. Okay. Dr. T, thanks for joining us. Raven, thanks for joining us. The program will be saved on Facebook, so if you ever got to go back and look at it, or refamiliarize yourself with the information that we talked about, please feel free to do so. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Summer back in a moment and let her share some closing thoughts. Then I'll come back and close out for the day. Hey, Summer, welcome back.
Hey, I was just trying to get online to get the information for the city of Phoenix. Okay. I think you just have to, if you go into City of Phoenix or phoenix.gov, and then you just go to the, I'm looking at it right now. I just had to do it for a client. Just start typing in grants for the City of Phoenix, or anything dealing with ethnic grants. They will be able to pull it up, and then you'll be added to a list of applications. Sometimes if you go to your local MBDA, they'll be able to help you kind of navigate through the application process. But those are the two great places, like you said, Pacific Minority or Southwest Pacific Minority. minority supplier. It's such a long title. I'm on the board too. I'm just like, I get it messed up every single time. But they're fantastic. They're actually doing a ton of virtual things right now that will help out with virtual and understanding your business. And they're partnering up with a ton of banks. So it's a great place to go. Hopefully everybody had a great time and got a lot of information. I know I learned more information every time I talk to community partners. We learn, we grow, we understand, we kind of reevaluate and disperse and do it all over again. So I do love these communications and these talks. Like Jerry said, if there's additional topics that you're wanting to learn, but I think the main thing is just access to capital. Getting an understanding of access to capital is necessary. So the next topic we will still deal with access to capital, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's understanding how to get the money. I mean, grants are great, but you're a business, so you're going to need loans, and loans are still part of running a business. So if you need micro lending, CDFIs, there's tons of different partners to kind of partner up with, and we'll be happy to go over and provide those resources for you. But Comerica is proud to be the sponsor with Urban League, Greater Phoenix Urban League. We absolutely love the community involvement, the economic development. They're here for us. They're here for you. And thank you so much, Ali, for presenting. I have definitely learned a lot from you. So thank you so much for that. And it's great to see people with knowledge who look like us. I know it's different. It's not always what you see from a bank, but that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to change the people that make decisions on your behalf, look like you, act like you, relate to you, live in the community that we all live in. So we're kind of doing this in a cohesive way and understanding where the layout is. So thank you everyone for being here and understanding that we're all in this together, but we're all learning together and we're all kind of growing together at the same time. So let me know if you have any questions as well.
Thank you so much. Ali, would you like to share some closing words before we close out?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming on and joining us. Thank you both for the opportunity to come on and share. And we're just excited about everything that's happening and want to continue to encourage people, the businesses in our community to keep going and to think strategically, and we support each other. So we have to continue to support each other, especially in these times. So it's exciting to see all of the Buy Black initiatives and the Blackout Days and Bank Black and just everything being real conscious, right? And everyone being real deliberate about supporting each other and getting us through these dark times. So I'm excited and blessed to be able to be a source and a resource for even a small contribution. If I can be of service, if any of the organizations that I serve in can be of service, from Archwood Exchange to Phoenix Local Organizing Committee to Phoenix Global Initiative and so on, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. As far as these grants and things go, make sure that you're keeping your eyes peeled as new grants come available and get your submissions in, because you can get the funding. Like I said, sometimes it's just a matter of getting your application in on time. As new grants come available, we'll do our best to get those things out to you immediately. So make sure you're on all the email lists, and that's it. And let's keep going. So thanks again.
Ali, thank you so much. Thanks again for your support and your assistance throughout the planning and execution of this event. Everyone that was in attendance, remember, we're going to, our previous vendors that have worked with us in the past, be on the lookout, check your inbox. We're going to send you a survey to get an idea of what other information you're looking to learn. And actually, I think we'll go ahead and just drop a link within the comment section of this event. So if you attended this event, you have the opportunity to give a response as well, and let us know what it is you're looking to learn, what skills you're looking to develop, what connections are you in need of assistance with. We'll be love to move forward with this type of program. Again, economic empowerment is something that I'm passionate about. I'm a CPA, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've just always had the full understanding that the solution to many of the issues plaguing our community is economic empowerment, is financial literacy. It is communal investing in other businesses and such. So this is a small step in order to help close that gap. not only the wealth gap, but the awareness and education gap, the ownership gap, the home ownership gap, the business ownership gap. This is a small step towards that end. And as someone mentioned earlier, you know, like these grants are great. You know, it is help to plug a hole that our business may be experiencing at the moment. However, grants is not going to contribute to the viability of our business in the long term. It's a Band-Aid. We need to fix the wound. You know, like it is medicine is not the cure. So we'll continue working together. I'll be on the lookout. About every other Tuesday, we'll have these programmings. We'll have these programs coming out. Just be on the lookout. Follow both the Greater Phoenix Urban League, GPHXUL, as well as Phoenix ULYP across social media platforms. There's been a collaboration of YP and our affiliate, which I'm now a part of now. So I should say it's a collaboration with our YPs. But nonetheless, thank you all for coming out, and please stay tuned, and we'll look to continue with the programming. With that being said, everybody have a blessed night, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.